Speak on the show 2021, episode 23. Today, on a positive note, well running dry. History manipulation, not on our block. I must plant my seed in the mind, body, and soul segment. Y'all ready? It's Saturday morning, baby. Let's go. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Speak On It. I am your boy, R.W. Coolins. First and foremost, giving honor to the God who allows me to come at you in this manner on a weekly basis. How y'all doing out there? Let me get myself together. How y'all doing out there? This morning, it's early Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, every Saturday morning, unless I decide to take a break, get that mental health break and everything. But let's get these formalities out the way so we can get into this show today. rwcoolins.com. That's the website. Go there, get all the information, all the links. Follow me. All the information is there. Broadcasting live on YouTube and Facebook this morning. And after the show, you can download the audio on either Spreaker.com or Apple iTunes, whichever you choose. If you don't want to see all this and you just want to hear the voice. If you just want to hear the voice, you can download the audio after the show at either Spreaker.com or Apple iTunes. That's what we do. That's what we do every Saturday morning. 844-904-2665. 844-904-2665. No matter what the situation is, let your voice be heard. All we ask is if you call in, say what you mean what you say. We mean the same thing when you post your comments, when you whatever you want to do to get involved with the show. If you want to get involved. Let us know what's going on. Let us know your opinion. We come in as friends, we leave as friends. That's what we do here on the Speak On It show. Brian Hoodie, good morning, my brother. Good morning. Appreciate the support. It's a short week because we had a holiday on Monday. It was a short week. A lot of things going on. Let me just start with this. It's hot out here. It's hot out here on the West Coast, on the left coast, whatever you want to call it. I know y'all getting all that rain and everything back on the East Coast, flooding in New York and wherever it is, but it's hot out here. I think today they're predicting it to be 119 degrees. 119. Now, the thing about that is in Nevada, I'm just going to give you all a little synopsis of this, but it's supposed to be 119 degrees. We're in a drought between Nevada and California. They say we're in a drought. The thing about Nevada and California. I said Colorado. I got Colorado in my mind for another reason, but that's another subject. But Nevada and California in a drought. Nevada right now, they're looking at, rationing water, because the Hoover Dam, Lake Mead is low, very, very low. I was reading an article yesterday, and in there it said that, watering if you got natural grass and you're watering your grass and you're watering your plants or bushes and all that kind of stuff, they got people going around looking at people's yards. And if you got a hose that's broken where water's just shooting up and it's not doing anything, sprinkler systems break and everything, they're actually putting a flag there and identifying it. And if they come by again at another time and see that they had already came by there and had a problem before, they're fining you. I think the fine is $80, and then it keeps going up from there. So that's where we're at with the water out here, So anybody that's listening that can hear my voice, send some bottled water brothers' way. Send a couple of cases this way because it's going to get to a point. I don't think we'll ever get to that point. I think the sky's going to open up eventually and give us some rain, but it all plays into this part of the denial of global warming. These things that we're seeing happening, the temperatures and all this, they keep saying that it's no global warming. There's no such thing. Pay attention. Pay attention to the weather. Look at what's going on around us. Look at what's going on with the storms and all these different things. And you will see that global warming is alive and well. Just my little 2 cents. I don't know too much about global warming, but I do know it's hot. I do know it's hot up out here. And that's all I'm going to say about that. The bottom, you know, if you ain't paying your electric bill or anything like that out here, it's hot. I mean, it's hot. You know, you touch your steering wheel, your hands get burned up, everything like that. You can't even get on the barbecue grill. This is like 2 o'clock in the morning. Let's just be real. You can't get on the barbecue grill. It's too hot. Too hot. Jack Pennington, good morning. Good morning, man. Appreciate your support. Appreciate your support. Hope you're doing well. Michelle Long, appreciate your support. Hope you're doing well. Also, that I hope you're doing well. Let me get all that mixed in there. Appreciate y'all support on this Saturday morning. But let's go ahead and jump into these topics that I got, because I got a special mind, body, and soul for y'all today. So I really want y'all to hold on if you can for the hour, because the mind, body, and soul is going to be something that I think we all need to hear in how we react to criticisms and the such. But let's get into this on a positive note. On a positive note. Hey, Wigan, good morning, sis. Good morning. Good morning. Appreciate the support. Tell Rudy get up. I'm calling him out. Tell him get up. Listen to the show. On a positive note, everybody's probably seen it, but let me reiterate it, because this is something that's very positive that I think we all need to know about. Her name is Zaya. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Zaya, Z-A-I-L-A, Zaya Avant-Garde. She is your new 2021 Scripps National Spelling Bee. Now, the word she spelled correctly was Murraya, M-U-R-R-A-Y-A, which is a type of tree more commonly known as orange jasmine. Also, if you Google Murraya, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, there's a celebratory little Easter egg. The young lady snuck her own little Easter egg into the competition, making a Bill Murray reference before winning the bee. Now, I don't know what that correlates to, because I've never watched a lot of Bill Murray things or whatever, but you know, it's just one of them things that she did to inspire herself. But this is where the things where I think we need to look at this on a positive note with this young lady is this is not her first time being in the spotlight. Not her first time being in the spotlight. She's 14 years old. And she's the first person from Louisiana and the first Black American to win the spelling bee. First person from Louisiana and the first Black American. The first Black winner was Jody Ann Maxwell, a 12-year-old from Jamaica. So that's the difference in that, in who won, when they won. And then we shouldn't even have to differentiate that about the first Black that born in America or Jamaican. She won. Let's clear it up. I'm hoping, and she says that I'm hoping in a few years, I'll see a lot more African-American females and males too, doing well in the Scripps Spelling Bee, calling the bee a gate opener to being interested in education. Now, this young lady, and I'm gonna tell y'all, I don't do this often, but I'm a little jealous. I'm just a smidgen jealous of this young lady. She currently holds 3 Guinness World Records, all of which she earned before she turned 13. What was you doing at 13? What was you doing at 13? I know what I was doing. Not setting Guinness World Book of World Records. These are the 3 records. The most bounce juggles in 1 minute with 4 basketballs. The most basketball bounces in 30 seconds with 4 basketballs. And a tie for the most basketballs dribbled at once. 6 by 1 person. Also, she can dribble multiple basketballs. Watch this now. While riding a unicycle. Speed read and divide 5-digit numbers by 2-digit numbers in her head. Talent on a positive note. That's what we need to start off on this morning, because, I'm going to get a little, I'm going to go away from this a little bit in some of these next. Good morning, OT. Appreciate you, bro. I'm going to go away from this in a minute, but we're going to have some fun with this today. But I seen this, and I seen her on TV, and I seen how she celebrated after she won. And it was good to see. It's good to see our young folks. And I'm not just going to get into the black or the white or whatever, but our young folks achieving greatness, doing great things, and doing the things that they enjoy doing. Now, you see, this young lady has a lot of skills. She just woke up one morning and God said, give it to her. She's blessed to be able to do the things that she's doing. And I wanted to give her a shout out this morning. They say her recent win is even more impressive considering She only started competitively spelling, watch this, 2 years ago. She just started doing this 2 years ago. And she also said she usually tries to do about 13,000 words per day. And that usually takes about 7 hours or so. That's a job, y'all. That's a job. Takes her 7 hours to study about 13,000 words per day. How many of y'all got that dedication? How many of y'all ever had that dedication to do something like that? Some of y'all ain't even that dedicated with your job, and you're there 8, 9, 10 hours a day. She also said she hopes to someday play in the WNBA, attend Harvard, and has also expressed interest in archaeology, neuroscience, and gene editing. But first, she gonna finish the 9th grade. Shout out, big shout out, round of applause for this young lady, for everything she's accomplished up to this point and her road going forward, because she has big things in store for her that she's going to be able to accomplish. And I like to see that because, we always hear and we always pay attention to the athletes. We really don't pay attention to the scholars and the ones that are achieving things educational wise, or the ones that are getting doctorate degrees in, biology or underwater basket weaving, just put it out there. The different things that are out of the ordinary for what we deem as something that we should all be striving to do in our community. So I wanted to give her a shout out this morning and start off with that because, it was good to see her, young girl, she's doing her thing. And you can tell that her successes that she's had up to this point haven't gone to her head. She's still grounded. She's still focused. She still has her dreams. She still knows what she wants to do. And she has those dreams to go forward. And I would say for all of you that have children or grandchildren, most of us already have grandchildren, but grandchildren, keep that fire in them, keep that inspiration in them, keep pushing them to be the best that they can be. Not comparing them to anybody else, not putting them in competition with anybody else on a consistent basis, but keep pushing them to be the best them. Keep pushing them to be the best that they can be as themselves. That's the key to our future. That's the key to the next generation. That's the key to what kids should be all about. It shouldn't be the pressures of life or any of that kind of stuff. Keep pushing them to be the best at who they are and who they strive to become. Those are the things that we need to focus on more. Sharice Joseph, good morning. Good morning. Appreciate the support. Thanks for tuning in. Jackie Banks, good morning, ma'am. Appreciate the support. Thanks for tuning in. So that's where we're at with her. I appreciate it, man. It's good to see that. It's good to see that. And we always have these firsts that we talk about. And you've heard me talk about the first, and we're still talking about the first this, the first that. It's a double-edged sword because we see where it's a first, so we're moving forward. But it's also, it can be looked at as a negative because it's taken this long for us to become a first, for us to have a first in anything. So just keep that balance in there when you talk about it. I try my best, but it's hard when I look at these things and we're saying the first and we're like, what have we been doing? Or what have we been not allowed to do? Just my mindset, just my thought process, how that works. Teresa Powder Bay, good morning. Good morning, Aunt Teresa. How are you? Love you. Appreciate the support. So transitioning, and let's get into the down and dirty that I always bring you with. The well running dry. The well is running dry. Former President Donald J. Trump. Let's just go here for a minute. And it's this thing where since he's been out of office, been kind of quiet. He shows up here. Now he's out doing speeches and everything like that. But this here is where people are starting to realize the play on what he's doing. Going for the bag, trying to get the bag is what they say, is what I'm gonna call it. He's trying to get the bag from people who just want to give him the bag, basically. So this week, Donald Trump came out and said he is suing Facebook, Twitter, and Google because they kicked him off. They told him he couldn't have a platform there and everything like that. So he's suing them. And in this time of suing them, he's suing them for banning his accounts and censoring him following the insurrection on the Capitol back on January 6th. Legal experts don't believe he will have any success in his lawsuit. Critics have claimed that the effort is a distraction and an excuse for raising money, which is where I say the well is running dry. Because here's the thing. We've always heard the stories about Donald Trump before he ran for president, how much money he has, how rich he is, how invested he is, all this money he has, but he's continuing since he's been in the political realm asking for money. So my question is, we always heard him talking about, his loans that he had are coming up due. He's going to have to pay these loans off and all this kind of stuff. And he's got all these legal issues going on, with the Trump organization and all these different things that they're investigating. And now he has to pay lawyers, which, if you remember, Rudy Giuliani, when he was defending him for the second impeachment, was asking for $20,000 a day. And they told him no, he ain't paying him. And to this day, he still hadn't paid Rudy Giuliani. Let's just be right. Let's just be clear here. Rudy Giuliani has not gotten paid from Donald Trump for his defense of Donald Trump while he was president. He said, I'm not going to pay him. And he still hadn't paid him. And now Rudy Giuliani is begging him for money to defend himself. But now Donald Trump is asking you, the American citizen, to donate to his legal fund. Because this is what it comes down to. Donald Trump Jr. went out and he asked for donations for his father's PAC. I can't remember what PACs, political action, something or whatever, but he's asking for donations for that. But in that, they have a caveat that's written for what he's doing, is saying that the money does not necessarily have to go to his political affiliations. He can use it for what he wants once he gets it. This is nothing new. We've all heard it. But it just tells me that if you're out here and you're asking people for donations, the well's running dry. He might as well just put up a cash app. Just put up a cash app. See what you get from there. But the reason it jumped out at me is not because the well's running dry, not because he's suing people, not because people they're waking up. The supporters of him are waking up to a certain extent, because I've seen some comments where people are saying, wait a minute, all the money we've given you, and now you still want more money to defend these lawsuits and everything like that. So they're saying they're not donating anymore. So it's one of those things where the tide is turned. And people are starting to realize that Donald Trump didn't have the money he said he had because he's asking these people for the donations. I seen an article the other day that said that in June, May or June, he charged the Secret Service like $10,000 for hotel rooms in Mar-a-Lago. And then he's charged them for rooms up in Bedminster, New Jersey, wherever the other resort is, because that's where he's been for a while. But he's charging the Secret Service, tens of thousands of dollars for the people to stay there for rentals of rooms. Now, I'm not the brightest light bulb in the socket, as I always tell you guys, but I know a room rate $400, depending on where you're staying at, and especially now they've gone up. But how many rooms do they have? Number one. And if he's charging them $10,000 within a month for these rooms for his Secret Service to protect him, what's the price hike on this? So all this should be investigated, all should be checked, because I don't recall anybody ever saying, any of the former presidents that we heard about that leave presidency because they didn't own hotels, but I don't remember any bills being associated with tens of thousands of dollars for Secret Service to stay for protection. It's just me. But I think all this stuff is starting to be exposed, and now people are paying more attention to it. Because why? Because all these things have finally come, the chickens have come home to roost, as they say. You can't continue to start, and I was just listening this morning, not to change the subject, but I was listening this morning to Tupac, not the music, but an interview he did back when he was 21 years old. And he went in this long thing about how much money do you really need? If you got $30 million and you walking past people that sleep on the street, I mean, come on. We got all this money in these certain peoples in this echelon, but we still got people homeless in the streets. What are we doing as a country? And then when we have people like this, Donald Trump, his associates, and all these other people continually getting rich off the poor, it makes you question things. It's something I always say is, if you become a politician, you go up to the Senate or the House, whichever one you decide to run for, and you get in, House representatives are 2-year terms, Senate is 6-year terms. So with those terms, you're making $100 and some thousand a year. But if you only do one term, you get all these fringe benefits, and at the same time, because of lobbyists, your pockets are being greased through your whole 2 years. And in those 2 years, you go in making $100,000 a year, but you come out a damn millionaire. But we don't see anything wrong with that. We do, but we don't. We see wrong and we voice it, we talk about it, but we still go to the polls and push for the same people that's already been up there doing the same corruption they've always done. This is where we need to pay more attention to what's going on, because What Donald Trump is doing is nothing different than most of them have done. The only difference is we viewed Donald Trump as being a millionaire before he went in there, a billionaire, whatever he was. So for him to be asking for money for defense and all this kind of stuff for lawsuits, it raises a flag for most people. But when these people are running for re-election and everything and they're asking money, we don't question it. Why? Because we don't look at them as millionaires, we look at them as politicians. It's a balance. Just my observation, just my thought process. But since we're talking about that, let's go into somebody that used to work for him. History manipulation. Everybody remembers Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany. Blonde-haired young lady, used to be at the podium. And she told people, she said she would never lie in the position she's in. She said, I will never lie to you in the position she was in when she was the press secretary. And she lied damn near every day. Let's just be real. She lied damn near every day. And if it wasn't a lie, it was manipulation on the history of the lie. Let's keep it real. But this week, she came out, and this is what she said. She said, all of America's founding fathers were against slavery. Let me repeat that so you hear it clearly what I'm saying here. All of America's founding fathers, forefathers per se, were against slavery. But they had slaves. History manipulation. Now, she recently claimed she never lied as Donald Trump's spokesperson, despite her long history of false claims. She introduced a Fox News segment about liberals' supposed lack of patriotism by tossing out some revisionist history. Now, I should have used revisionist, but I like history manipulation. This is what she said. The haters never take a day off from hating. That is clear. And they never take a day off from getting the facts wrong. We know most of our forefathers, all of our main founding fathers, were against slavery, and they recognized the evils of it. Now, if this isn't history manipulation, I don't know what is. Because at the same time, she said, she blasted the others for getting the facts wrong. But this is what they said. The actual facts of the matter are that the vast majority of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, who were the forefathers per se, 41 of the 56 who signed, according to studies, were actually slave owners. For instance, both George Washington and Thomas Jefferson each owned hundreds of slaves. So this history manipulation that they want to get into, let's pause for a minute and let's get into this. Because when they do this, it does a disservice to not only you listening, but to those that choose to take that information and pass it on to the youngins, the little people, the kids, the children, which goes into the conversation of you can have people out here spewing this misinformation. But when you talk about the 1619 Project or the critical race theory, which is factual information, you don't want that brought out into conversation. But they allow people to say, they always say the forefathers' intent. The forefathers intended when they wrote the amendments, when they wrote the Constitution, when they wrote the Declaration, this is what their intent was. But if you go back and read it, their intent, were they saying that they were against slavery? If they were against slavery, and this is just me, but if they were against slavery, then it wouldn't have been identified in everything that they wrote. The exclusion of African Americans at the time, blacks, whatever you want to call them, would not have been excluded from the verbiage in these articles, Declaration of Independence, all these different things. So for you to come up with this history manipulation of the forefathers were against it, when we know that 41 of 46 owned slaves, what are you saying? What you're saying is you're trying to whitewash, excuse me, no pun intended, you're trying to whitewash the facts. And my problem with that is that like when we talk about the 1619 Project or the critical race theory or racism as a whole, and they try to minimize the impact of what it's had on this country, but they always reckon back to the forefathers and what their intentions were. Well, their intentions were to keep blacks as slaves. It's written in a feathered pen. But you come on the news and you come on when you get a microphone and you spew these history manipulations and you expect us to receive them as you say them. This is where the problem comes in, because when we talk about these type things, you got those that don't want to talk about racism as a whole, They want to use and pick and choose how it comes in there. But at the end of the day, if you're going to manipulate the history of what the forefathers' thinking was and what they were doing, it's the same thing that you're trying to do to eliminate those pockets that you've left out along the way. It does a disservice to anyone who calls themselves or who identifies themselves as a true American. Case in point, and I had this wrote down, and I wasn't going to get into this, but let me just bring this up. Vanessa Williams the other day, Vanessa Williams, you know, Miss America, Vanessa Williams. She sang the national anthem for the 4th of July celebration for, was it NPR? PBS. But before she sang the national anthem, she sang Lift Every Voice, which is considered the Black national anthem. People are in uproar because she chose to sing that song before she sang the actual national anthem. Now, she sang both songs, but there's people in the uproar because she sang this. And as Americans, we call ourselves, and we're supposed to be equal and evenly looked at and everything like this. If it's Independence Day, Declaration of Independence, Independence Day, 4th of July celebration, 1776, and we sing the national anthem, I don't see a problem with her singing Lift Every Voice, which is a spiritual song, a gospel song per se. It was originally composed as a poem by brothers James Weldon and John Rosamond Johnson in 1900. Lift Every Voice and Sing has since been a staple in Black culture since its inception. Williams' rendition of the hymn was the first time that it was sung in the 41-year history of the PBS 4th of July celebration. So she took the time to do that, but people were in an uproar and saying, wait a minute, you don't need to sing that on Independence Day. You need to sing that during Juneteenth. Oh, wait a minute. So you want to separate now. Before you didn't want to separate Independence Day that we celebrate and Juneteenth because you didn't want a Juneteenth. But now that someone's brought something that identifies us into the fold for Independence Day, now you say, wait, whoa, move that, take that back to Juneteenth. Sing that on Juneteenth. Don't sing that on Independence Day. You see where I'm going? It's the hypocrisy for me is where it comes into play. These are the things that we look at, we see, and we don't see it up front. Sometimes we have to step back for a minute and look at the big picture because we get tunnel vision. Sometimes you got to open that up and see the bigger picture on what the expectations and what's going on around us to really see what the messaging is. Now, I tell everybody all the time, I'm not, just because I'm pro-Black, don't make me anti-white. But when I see things like this, it causes me to scratch my head a little bit like, wait a minute, you can't have it both ways. And then when I see people post about these things and talk about it and be in an uproar, it's kind of like, wait a minute, what are we doing here? The Lift Every Voice and Sing is the pseudo per se. They called it the African-American Black national anthem because it was a song we sang when we were going through strife, trials, and tribulations, when we were struggling to get heard, when we were doing these things, because it was written back in 1900. But we shouldn't be singing it because it's Independence Day. But the other part of that is, when we talk about Independence Day and the founding fathers, and let's go to Francis Scott Key, who penned the Star Spangled Banner. He penned the Star Spangled Banner, just 4 verses. We sing 1. But they eliminate the 3rd verse because of the verbiage in the 3rd verse. But we don't want to talk about that. Because in there, it talks about the slave. No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror or flight or the gloom of the grave. Specifically says that in the Star Spangled Banner, verse 3. But we don't talk about that. But this, Francis Scott Key, was part of that part where the forefathers were in there. He wasn't one that, actually signed them, but he penned this, and now this is our national anthem. But we don't talk about verse 3. And we've all heard the different discussions about it. I'm not going to get into it, but we had to look at these things when they talk about, when I bring up the history manipulation that they want to do when it's positive, in the eyes of who they wanted to be positive for. But when it's positive in the mindset of what slavery did and is still able to do with race relations, critical race theory, all those type things, whoa, we don't need to talk about that. Because our founding fathers' intent was what was written, depending on the day it is. But what was written was not for everybody. I'm going to leave that alone because that's my history lesson for today. Kaylee McEnany, I will never lie to you. I will never lie. That was a lie. Survey says that was a lie. That was a lie. That was a lie. Not on our block. Not on our block. July 4th weekend on July 3rd. In Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where everything started with the forefathers, they call, Philadelphia, I can't remember the word they call it, but, OT, if you still listening, what they call Philadelphia, city of brotherly love. Yeah, there it is. All that kind of stuff. A group of Patriot Front members, estimated at 150 to 200 people, marched for several blocks in Center City Saturday night, wearing tan pants and black shirts with face coverings and carrying shields and flags. Police said they were chanting slogans such as "Reclaim America" and "The election was stolen." So the only difference for me, from what happened in Charlotte and what they did in Philadelphia was the fact of what they were saying. Reclaim America, the election was stolen. I can't remember exactly what they were saying in Charlottesville, but you know the point I'm trying to make. Police said pedestrians engaged members of the group verbally, and there were several physical encounters. Finally, someone from the group used what police believed were smoke bombs to cover their retreat as they fled. So basically, people that were against what they had to say and their marching and everything came out and confronted them. And it got to the point where these protesters, these marchers per se, the Patriot Front members, felt like we got to get out of here. So they started dropping smoke bombs and took off. They fled. Not on our block. Now, this is something that we need to have all over. This is something that when we recognize these things, we need to confront these things. We need to confront the racism when we see it, not just because it's on the news and we say, oh, damn. Oh, wow. Can't believe I seen that. I can't believe they said that. No. When we see it, we need to confront it. And as I mentioned about allies and everything, when you are involved in those processes, when you hear people talking about these things, you need to confront it. You need to nip it in the bud before it gets to the point where you get so comfortable that you get involved in the conversation and then go back to, your black friend and act like nothing happened and nothing's wrong. The Anti-Defamation League calls the Texas-based group a white supremacist group that espouses racism, anti-Semitism, and intolerance under the guise of preserving the ethnic and cultural origins of their European ancestors. It also says the group participates in localized flash mobs and torch marches / demonstrations. This was in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on July 3rd, the day before, quote unquote, Independence Day. The day before July 4th. The day before this country became a country on July 4th, 1776, when we got people out there marching, talking about reclaim America and the election was stolen. And nobody sees a problem with this. Certain people don't see a problem with this. I look at these things and I bring these things to you, not for people to get on and pick and choosing sides and everything. What I'm trying to get is this happy medium somewhere. We got to come to a happy medium somehow where these people are the news of the day. And I'm guilty because I'm telling you exactly what they did. But we got to get to a point where this is not the news of the day. This is not what's more important than the spelling bee winner. But until we face these things head on, we're going to continue to have these same problems. And then we talk about our politicians and everything. Yeah, the politicians are the ones that write the legislation and things like that. But we got to do the work here at the ground level with each other. We got to stop allowing our differences to be the main problem or the main source of us not being able to come together. We're all different. We all got different viewpoints and everything, but be able to accept this person's viewpoint without getting to a point where you just hate them or you just can't see from their view where they may be coming from their experiences, or, as I mentioned in the history of manipulation, trying to change the narrative to fit what you want the narrative to be compared to what the facts are. This is where, we sit down and we want to talk. And I use this scenario all the time. We'll sit down and talk about a football game that happened on Sunday or a catch that happened in the Super Bowl and any type of sports things that go on, black, white, whatever nationality you may be, with no problems. You may get an argument because you like this team, but you like that team, anything like that, but not to the point where you can't have a conversation. But when we start getting into how people are treated differently, how the systems are this way, how racism and slavery has impacted the way in the course of most people where their generational health was never able to be accomplished and all these different things, it's a shutdown. People don't want to hear that. They don't want to talk about that. They would rather talk about a football game than real life experiences. A football game is what, 4 quarters, 15-minute quarters, I think. Life is a whole lot longer. Those people you interact with on a daily basis are going to be around a whole lot longer than that football game you're watching. I say that because we got to get to a point where we look at people and we understand that we're going to have our differences, as I mentioned. But we got to get to a point where our differences are not the main decision maker in how we treat each other and how we move forward to try to even the playing field. And you'll never even the playing field. It'll never be that way. I mean, even if you talk about sports, the playing field is never even, because you have some teams that are more athletic than others. But you don't see the team that may not be as athletic as the other team just give up and say, well, they're better than us, so there ain't no use in even playing the game. Which is what they're trying to get us to do when we talk about these things that are pockets left out of history, is to keep fighting against it so we just finally throw our hands up and say, never mind. We can't do that. We need to keep pushing. And it's not for us. It's not for our generation. We're the ones that need to push it. But it's for the churn, the youngins, little people, as I like to say. It's for them to know that this country, as great as it is, has flaws. And we need to recognize those flaws for what they were and what they are, rather than trying to change it and put makeup on it. And like Hillary Clinton said so elegantly one time, if you put lipstick on a pig, it's still a damn pig. Cut and dry. It's still a pig. Let's transition. Now this one right here, let me say. I must plant my seed. Anybody that's ever watched Malcolm X knows what I'm saying. Elijah Muhammad, when Malcolm X confronted him about women in the congregation, saying that he was going around and, laying hands on them per se. I must plant my seed. I'm not an actor. I'm just telling you my interpretation. I say that because let's talk about Nick Cannon for a minute. Nick Cannon currently he's had 4 kids by 3 different women over the last year. 4 kids by 3 different women over the last year. And nobody has a problem with this because it's Nick Cannon. Because it's Nick Cannon. But if Nook, Ray, and I'm just using some pronunciation that everybody knows from Battle on Back on the Block, but Nook, Ray, or Little Dog, Little Baby, all the little people, all the little people nicknames or whatever, had this many kids within a year with a woman, different women in our community, we would have something to say. But why is it that Nick Cannon gets a pass? I asked this question not to make him less than a man, anything, whatever he does. But I want to find out, I'm trying to figure out why we accept this. Why we look at this and say, it's Nick Cannon. Let him do what he's going to do. But this is what happened. He first became a dad when he had twins with Monroe and Moroccan, who are 10 years old now, with ex-wife Mariah Carey. Now he had a baby in 2017 named Golden with Brittany Bell. In 2020, he had another child by Brittany Bell. Powerful Queen Cannon. June of 2021, he had a set of twins, Zion and Zillan, by Abby Della Rosa. And in June, sometime in June or July, he had this other child named Zen Cannon by Alyssa Scott. He was on his show the other day, and the City Girls, who I really don't know who they are, but the City Girl rapper JT asked him, hey, what, he asked for real life he asked real advice about his life in a segment on the show called Advice for Nick. JT, sitting with her group member, Young Miami, plainly said what outsiders have been thinking regarding his situation. She said, just stay true to yourself and wrap it up. Wrap it up and protect yourself is what she told him. To which Cannon laughed and mistakenly thought she was suggesting he wrap up and finish the radio interview. Now, let's stop right there for a minute. If somebody tells you, wrap it up, just stay true to yourself and wrap it up. You ain't thinking about them wrapping up no conversation or nothing. This is how nonchalant he is about this, because he has no cares about it. Because financially he can do and support those children. And nobody's questioning what he's done or his intent on why he's doing it. Now, he did an interview on Howard Stern not too long ago and said when he had his issues with I think it was his liver, or found out he had lupus and all the different things that were going on when he was in the hospital and all that, he said he got to the point where he realized he's going to die. So he wants to leave his legacy of children, and that's what he's doing. But let me continue. Then he got it. He finally got what she said about wrap it up. And he said, I'm having these kids on purpose. I don't have no accidents. And then he says, I'm like a seahorse. He joked. Trust me, there's a lot of people I could have gotten pregnant that I didn't. The ones that got pregnant are the ones that were supposed to get pregnant. You only live once. On June 4th, and this is when he had all his children. So he has, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? 7 children. Only 2 under wedlock, per se. But we don't see an issue with this because, as I mentioned, Nick Cannon, he's financially able to support these children. And some people look at it and say, well, he did have a death scare and everything. Maybe he just wants to have the children carry on his legacy. Well, time out. We judge people with lower means of income or athletes that have the income. You have some that had, I think there was one athlete that had like 13 children. DMX had a lot of children. But we vilify them for what they and the decisions they made and the people they were having children with. And, then it comes out that they weren't supporting them and all this kind of stuff. We vilified them for the choices they made and said they need to stop having all these children and all this. But Nick Cannon, I haven't seen any uproar about this. Now, I understand the legacy thing. I understand that. But if this was anyone else, they'd be like, he's nasty. He just out here all willy-nilly, unprotected sex with all these different women, blah, 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 all the, the narrative. But because it's Nick Cannon, we don't look at it that way. We say, oh, well, he's supplanting his legacy. He wants kids to carry on his money and all this. He wants his seeds. And no. Think about that for a minute. Think about what you're saying. You're allowing him to just go out here all willy-nilly and do what he wants. But if it was your child, somebody in your community, somebody they had lesser means, like I said, Nuck, Ray, Ray, or little baby, little whatever, we would be in an uproar right now. This is where that double standard comes in. And I'm not judging him. Don't get me wrong. I don't want people to think I'm judging him, but I'm looking at this from the aspect of how we see things and how we know things are supposed to be from what we know growing up. When your grandmother, and I'll take my grandmother, had 12 children, all by the same man, my grandfather, my same man, 12 kids, same person. And the financial means back then compared to now are like night and day, but they made it happen. They made it work. They did what they needed to do to raise those 12 kids in their home to be successful children along the way. Not all about the financial part, but they had love in their house. They had love. They were raised with love. They were brought up with love, and they understood what love was all about. That's how they was raised. It wasn't about the financials, Brian Hoodie. That could lead to financial ruin and a lot of heartache in the future. See, we're not looking at, thank you, Brian. We're not looking at the fact of how these kids may be impacted mentally because they got brothers and sisters all over the place. And I don't care what nobody says. Well, as long as they keep them, close together and they grow up together. No. How do you explain this when these children are getting to the point where they want to start having families? How do you explain to them, well, your father, Papa was a Rolling Stone or whatever? I mean, come on. Psychologically, this could affect those children, but nobody's paying attention to that because what they say is he has the financial means to do what he's doing, but nobody looks at the mental aspect this may play on the children long term. It's like a comedian used to say, he was like, I had kids around the corner from me. I used to ride around the corner, I'm your daddy, and then ride off. Jokingly. But this is life we're talking about. This is real life. And we have no one seems to be in an uproar about this because they're looking at the financial gains for these children, and he has the financial means to support all 7. But somebody out here has one and can't financially support them, and y'all look at him like he's a bad father because he can't do what he's supposed to do. Not because he can't, because he's unable to. And he gets vilified as being a sorry-ass daddy or a deadbeat dad. And he's doing everything he can in his power to be the best father he can. But because the financial parts aren't there, nobody's looking at the mental. Nobody's looking at the relationships. They're just looking at the financials. Money is not the cure for everything. We'll watch it. We'll see what goes on with this. But like he said, everybody that's gotten pregnant by him, he's gotten them pregnant on purpose. He chose them. Just gonna leave it at that. Makes you think, makes you wonder. What's the mindset? Mind, body, and soul. I got a special one for y'all today. I got a special for y'all today. The Mind, Body, and Soul is 2021 year of self-care, taking it one day at a time. We're trying to better ourselves, get better as we go. Today's Mind, Body, and Soul, I got a video for you. I think some people have seen it. Some people probably haven't. But today on the Speak on the Show, you definitely gonna see it. Let's see if I can get this right here. Make sure I get it right. Okay, so the Mind, Body, and Soul quote for today is, pray for those who hurt in your time of joy. Pray for those that are hurt in your time of joy. I bring this quote up, and I'm gonna play this video. And this is Tabitha Brown. Everybody, I think, knows who Tabitha Brown is, an internet sensation, vegan, doing her thing. And Wendy Williams has some comments about her because she's been doing her thing, has been able to allow her husband, and I won't say allow, she has been able to tell her husband in agreement that he don't have to be on the police force anymore. He doesn't have to be a cop. She wants him to concentrate on his foundation of helping children. He took the police job because they were broke. Well, I'm going to let her tell you. I'm not going to get all this. I'll let her explain it to you. But what I will tell you is, no, I'm going to wait. I'm going to hold that. Let's go ahead and get into this video real quick. And this is Tabitha Brown. This is the Mind, Body, and Soul segment today.
Right. Very good, honey. I was up doing a little work here. That's why I got my pajamas on in my office. And then my phone started going off, like praising people. It was like, girl, you're Wendy Williams. First of all, Wendy Williams, honey, God bless you. God bless you. Okay. And so people sent me a little clip. And I said, oh, my God, the pain this woman must be in. Wendy, the pain you must be in to feel this way. And I'm so sorry. But listen, let me tell you this. 23 years I've been with my husband. Yes. Broke for a very long time together. struggled for a very long time together, succeeded for the last couple of years together, right? My husband took a job in agreement with me. He took a job 15 years ago to help support my dream. And I know you may not know what that looks like in a genuine place, right? But this was an agreement that my husband and I had. And I told him 15 years ago, "Ooh, babe, in 5 years, I'll be able to take you out of there so then you can pursue one of your dreams that you love." Right now, I was his dog in the fight, okay? And he believed in me. And we did it together for the last 15 years. I did every year with him at LAPD, and he did every year with me with rejection and no's in this entertainment industry, right? However, God has blessed me. He has allowed me to manifest. I've been praying on this for a very long time, and it has now come to pass. That is the power of God. It's also the power of allowing God to be first in your marriage, okay? And that is how it remains successful. We keep him first. He is first in our marriage, not money, not business, not success, but God. He's first, okay? So this is my prayer for you. I pray that love finds you, true love. I pray it finds you and it holds you tight. I pray that someone will love you enough to see you when you are not well, to see you when you need true support, to see you when you need compassion, to see you when you need kindness. I pray that somebody loves you enough to sacrifice their life for you. I pray that type of love finds you so that you can understand why. I don't want my husband to put his life on the line anymore wearing a bulletproof vest if he don't have to, and if that's not his desire. I love him enough that I want him to be safe, and I want him to coach children the way he wants to. My husband has a nonprofit, right? And he wants to be able to build that even more so. And what I do know is a 9-to-5 or a steady job takes away time for creativity, takes away time that you want to pour into your real, true purpose. And if God blesses someone to be able to pull out of that 9-to-5 and pour everything into their purpose, their passion, ooh, my goodness, why would we dishonor God if he blesses us with the ability and the way to be able to do so? Ooh, honey, I'm excited about that. Ooh, I pray that somebody finds you, love finds you, that excites you the way I am excited about my husband being able to grow his business, being able to pour into children, continue to coach these kids, do other things he's dreamt about. Ooh, honey, I pray this type of excitement and love finds you and anybody else who seems to not understand this. I pray that type of love finds you, sacrifice, compassion, like I really do. I really, really do. Okay? With that being said, I thank all of y'all for messaging me and telling me about it. And I want you, whoever is watching, who understands the type of love, let us all pray for people like Miss Wendy and others who have either been so hurt or never found a genuine love that fills their heart with so much compassion and joy. Let us all pray that they find that and that it finds them. Yes, very good. Now, I want y'all to go on about your business, okay? And have the most amazing day. But even if you can't have a good one, don't you dare go messing up nobody else's hen. God bless you. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye, y'all.
There it is. There it is. Pray for those who are hurt in your time of joy. I want to say this. The way that she chose to respond to the negativity, the way that she went about responding to who we know Wendy Williams is something that we all need to take a piece of and hold it to us, hold it close to us. Because what we do and what we're susceptible to do when someone talks bad about us or tries to look at our decisions from their own point of view and have this angst or this negativity about it. We need to take a page out of Tabitha Brown's book and respond accordingly, not with anger, but with love. And in that love, come to them in a way that you let them know that I pray that you get what I got. Not in a boasting way. Not in a boasting way, because whatever you have, God has blessed you with. And I think we all need to understand that anyone that's in our lives, whether it's our wives or husbands or friends or whatever type of relationships you may have, they're in your life for a reason. Not because of you, because God has placed them there to be with you, to help you along your travels, to help you along your way. And if we can all take a page from her to respond to people with their negativity in more of a positive way, maybe people will start looking at things differently and have the mindset to think that I was wrong for the way I seen that. And then you also find out that they've exposed themselves because what you have and the joy that you're experiencing, they wish they had. That jealousy and envy I talk about so often causes it more than anything else. They don't have what you have, and that jealousy and envy rears its head to show what their true colors are. Don't get back and forth, yelling and all that. Just state it clearly, in a clear voice. Don't raise your voice, just be clearly. And if that don't work for you, just don't respond to it all. Just get on your knees and pray for that person. Because one thing they need is more prayer than argument. They need prayer, not argument. That's their opinion. That's the way they look at it. And everybody's not going to agree with the things you do. But if you're going to respond with love rather than negativity. Thank you, Tabitha Brown. Let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. I appreciate everybody tuning in today. Hope you enjoyed the show. Every Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. I'm trying to give y'all some more content. And we got these, like I said, I'm working on some interviews, so we'll have them coming up here shortly. It's a hot one out here. Hopefully it's not raining back to wherever you're at or whatever, but be safe out there. Like we said, it's 101 critical days of summer between July and you know what I'm talking about. Up till Labor Day. Let's just put it that way. So be safe out there. Watch the motorcycle riders, watch the kids in the streets, watch all that, and take care of yourself. Keep doing what you're doing, working out, getting yourself back together, concentrate on it. And as much as you're working on the outside and how you look and how you feel and everything, the one thing you don't overlook is the mental. Stay focused on your mental. Get down on your knees, pray, talk to God, talk to him, talk to some of your people that have passed on in your life. They'll respond back in their own way. They'll respond back in their own way. You just got to listen. And when I say listen, I'm not talking about from the ear. You have to listen from the full perspective of your being to understand that they're sending you messages on a daily basis. It's up to us to receive them and to recognize them when they're sent. That's all I'm going to say. As I always say before I sign off, love yourself, love one another, keep your head up, and most definitely keep your faith in God. I'll see y'all next week. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all, and I'm out. Peace.